For centuries, the ruins of the Roman Empire have yielded their secrets slowly. From the scorched earth of Pompeii to the soaring arches of the Colosseum, we think we know the Romans. We see the legions, the emperors, the glorious tapestry of a 2,000-year-old civilization. But a true story is often found not in the marble halls of power, but in the forgotten dust of the frontier. In the unforgiving north of Britain, along the line of Hadrian's Wall, stood a fort known as Magna, a bleak, rain-lashed outpost guarding the edge of the known world. And it was here, in a deep, waterlogged defensive trench, a trap designed to cripple the unwary, that a discovery was made. A seemingly simple object that would peel back the veneer of Roman history and reveal something disturbing and profoundly human. The year is 2025. Archaeologists from the Vindolanda Trust were meticulously clearing the ankle-breaker ditch at Magna, a space so oxygen-starved it perfectly preserves what history usually consumes: wood, leather, and organic matter, all frozen in time. Then the call went out, not for a coin or a weapon, but for a shoe, a caliga, the hobnailed military sandal worn by Roman soldiers. But this was no ordinary shoe. As the mud was carefully washed away, its immense size became undeniable. Measuring nearly 33 centimeters long, a modern-day U.S. size 14, this was equivalent to a European size 48. For context, the average Roman male soldier wore the equivalent of a size 8.5. This boot belonged to a giant, a man whose sheer scale was an anomaly on the frontier. Experts were stunned. One volunteer noted that it immediately drew impressed gasps from everyone on site. The discovery was unnerving in its singularity, yet perfectly preserved, showing multiple layers of leather, stitching, and hobnails. But what happened next turned a curiosity into a macabre puzzle. In the following weeks, more boots were found. Dozens, pulled from the same dark, suffocating mud. The team soon made a shocking observation. A disproportionate number of these caligi were also XXL. Of the footwear recovered at Magna, a staggering 25% were sizes 12 to 14. This percentage stands in stark contrast to the nearby much larger fort of Vindolanda, where only about 0.4% of shoes fell into this category. This was no coincidence. A large concentration of abnormally large men were deliberately stationed at Fort Magna. But why? Why would the Roman military, known for its rigorous standardization in all things, send a seemingly hand-picked unit of giants to this particular isolated outpost? The military records say nothing of a giant's legion or a specialized oversized unit. Historians were forced to confront a brutal truth. The presence of these men was not for prestige. It was for a specific, sinister purpose rooted in psychological warfare. Consider the context. Hadrian's Wall was a psychological barrier as much as a physical one. The Roman Empire constantly projected an image of invincible power and overwhelming might. What better way to achieve this than through shock and awe? The theory posits that the largest, most formidable men, perhaps Germanic auxiliaries, Batavians, or other non-Roman recruits, were deliberately gathered here. Their mission wasn't just to guard the wall, but to serve as a devastating, intimidating shock unit. Picture the scene: a Roman patrol encountering a local tribe who had never seen men of this size. The psychological impact of a line of soldiers, each 6.5 feet tall or more, marching in perfect Roman order would have been immediate and overwhelming. They were human propaganda, towering figures designed to terrify the local populations into submission. They were the Roman military's secret weapon,
a physical manifestation of imperial might, and they were the men you would throw at the most violent, intractable frontier, the ones you would expect to die first. Now, we return to the boot itself. Beyond its sheer size, the artifact held a secret that spoke volumes about the crushing cost of this specialized deployment. A secret discovered not under the boot, but often inside the remaining leather upper. Roman military life was notoriously brutal. Endless marching, poor diet, and constant exposure to the wet, cold climate of Britain. But for these giants, the brutality was magnified. Analysis of similar artifacts from the region has often revealed the unsettling presence of fungal and bacterial residues deep within the boot. These are not common dirt. They are the chemical fingerprints of severe, chronic foot and skin infections, ulcerations, deep fungal decay, and the microbial evidence of untreated, festering wounds. Diseases that, left unchecked in a pre-antibiotic era, could easily lead to debilitating complications, amputation, or even death. The sheer size of their feet meant their boots were non-standard, custom-made, and likely in extremely short supply. They were irreplaceable. Imagine a man this large, forced to march, fight, and stand guard in a boot that was constantly wet, harboring chronic infection, causing excruciating pain with every step. He couldn't simply swap out his footwear. He was tied to this single pair, this cradle of pain for months on end. The presence of these crippling infections within the boots paints a grim picture of military neglect. It suggests that these soldiers, while invaluable for their psychological presence on the frontier, were ultimately viewed as disposable. Standard troops had access to better maintained, more regular footwear replacements, but the colossal size of these men's boots was a logistical nightmare for the supply chain, and they were the lowest priority. The disturbing discovery inside that Roman soldier's boot is not a treasure, but a tragic inventory of suffering. It is a silent scream from the past, revealing a unit pushed beyond human endurance, where their unique value made them, paradoxically, utterly expendable. They were the frontline shock troops, the psychological shield of the empire, and their reward was a slow, agonizing descent into physical breakdown, foot by painful foot. The remains of Magna Fort have been silent for almost 2 millennia, but the discoveries pulled from that cold, defensive ditch speak with chilling clarity. The giant boot, lost in the mud of an ankle-breaker trench, represents the dark side of Roman efficiency. It is a stark reminder that behind the grand narratives of empires are the untold stories of individual agony, the suffering of a soldier who was too valuable to fail, and yet too large to be properly cared for. His boot, a personal relic of his impossible stature and his inescapable pain, is the most profound and disturbing discovery of all. The giants of Magna did their duty, but history, preserved in a simple piece of leather, tells us the horrifying price they paid. What other forgotten horrors lie buried beneath the foundations of history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to join us as we uncover the secrets the past tried to hide.